Record. So I want to introduce you guys. This is our Diamond upline, Cheyenne Weable. If you don't know her, if you haven't seen her calls before, she's that beautiful lady up there in the corner. I am so blessed to have Cheyenne as my upline and as a friend. She has the biggest heart and just such an absolutely kind, loving person and such a good friend. I think that in a lot of ways, we actually kind of grew together, although I'm behind you in terms of rank for sure. I think we grew together because we both started not too far apart from each other in Plexus. And so I think that's a unique perspective that we have had, you know, in growing our Plexus teams. So Cheyenne is down in Texas, and maybe at some point we'll get to talk a little bit about the whole idea of saturation, because that starts to become a concern when people see that our team is just exploding and growing so fast. And I didn't work that into the questions, but maybe at some point we can talk about that, because down in Texas, there are a lot of Plexus people, and it's a pretty pink state down there. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for doing this and tell you that kind of our topic is going to be about what kind of your tips about this journey, I think, and growing. I think we have put a lot of incentives out for May. We've done some really fun things to get people moving. I think it's a really important month to start building your business and really grab onto that momentum and start pushing it forward for the summer. And so I know that as we put those kinds of things out there, I thought, let's mid-month, let's talk about some of the hurdles that we run into, and is this all worth it? Because I think sometimes people who are brand new go, oh, this is too much, I'm overwhelmed. And we've all been there. We've all felt that. And there's just different things at different stages of your business that you will run into, whether you're brand new or you have a burgeoning team and you're kind of becoming a leader. And so I want to kind of start with that. If you could just kind of tell the team what kind of life you've been able to design for yourself now that you are where you are and what it's meant to you. Can we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So first of all, Angela, thank you so much for asking me to be on. It is an honor for sure. And I just adore you, and you have an amazing team, and you're a fabulous leader. So I'm very thankful for you and for everybody, your whole team, because y'all are just rocking and rolling. Holy cow. Y'all are on fire. So it's exciting. But you're right. We did start around the same time. And when I first started, I didn't think about this as a business. I had no idea what was in front of me. I just wanted to lose weight and didn't realize what these products were about. And so when I first started, it was just to get my products paid for. As my team started growing, what I realized is, oh my goodness, this could be the way that I get to stay home. I had been a teacher. I was on my 16th year of teaching. I loved my job, but I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So my 16th year, I was selling Plexus and realized rather quickly, oh my goodness, within 3 or 4 months, I was making what I did teaching. And I think that's when the light bulb went on for the business part of it. Like, this is the real deal, And so within 11 months, I was able to stay home, quit my job after that school year was over. And I was able to resign Kevin from his business. He was in medical sales, had been for 18 years. And it was just wearing on him. So, to be able to take your husband out of a position that he just literally did not enjoy anymore. He still made a great living, but I saw what it was doing to him. And I had prayed for a long time, even before Plexus. Like, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but more importantly, I wanted Kevin to be happy in his job. Because although I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, I did love my job. You know what I mean? And so to see him so just beat down and just, but he had to do it. We had to have insurance. We had to have, just that income. And so for him to be able to quit his job was probably even bigger than me being able to quit my job. Just knowing that he was able to follow his dreams and I was able to be a stay-at-home mom. So for us, what Plexus has done, and let me just go back and say, yes, these things happen, and we'll get into that a little bit more. They happened rather quickly for me, but there were some trials along the way. So those kind of came after that first year in Plexus. So I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So don't think it's one of those stories that woohoo, everything was perfect and you're doing something wrong, because that's not the case. So, but the first year was crazy. It was amazing. And well, I'll go on to that later, but we're now able, because of Plexus, to really focus on what God has put in front of us, which those are missions. We go on mission trips 2 times a year to Vietnam. Thankfully, we're able to do that. And then we also are in the process of adopting a little girl from Vietnam. And just recently, I guess in October of 2015, my husband and I partnered with some friends, and we opened, it's called the Core Rockwall, and that is a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics enrichment center for children, for like after school or for homeschooled children. That way they can, go, and if they're really, if they love science and technology and engineering and mathematics, that's where they can go. So we did that, though, in hopes of taking it to places like Vietnam for children that don't get an education. So God has just put so much in front of us. And thankfully, because he gave me Plexus, we're now able to truly focus on those things instead of everything else that's going on. Does that make sense?
Thank you for that. I have to mute myself because I'm still trying to kick this cough. I'm glad that you got to tell them that, because I think that sometimes, when you get down in the weeds of it and you're just trying to build this business, I think sometimes it's a good idea to step back and take a breath and remember why you're doing this. Because ultimately, if you're like me, you started this out, again, not meaning to do the business, not with that intention, and then truly wanting to help people when you see that these products are helping people the way they are. And then when you really get going, because you have these business dreams, I think sometimes seeing other people promote and seeing how things are working for other people, you start to, have that negative self-talk and then forget why you're doing this. And I think just take a step back. And that's why I do love the Diamond documentaries. If people really are able to start to visualize, what do I want, mine to look like? We went down to Annapolis for Mother's Day. And I've always said, when I do my Diamond documentary, we're going to Annapolis. I spent a lot of my life there. I worked there. It's just I grew up, a little south of there, but I spent a lot of my life, and that's where a lot of my friends were. And I was visualizing what my Diamond documentary is going to look like, because I think that it's important to remind yourself of why you're doing this. And so hopefully, we've given people that, because they get to look at, what it takes to get there and then what you can do from there. How would you describe your journey from the point of when you started to now, in terms of, becoming a leader? And did you see yourself as one at the outset, and kind of what did it take to get there? Because like it or not, if we want to be successful in this business, you don't all have to be the same kind of leader. Cheyenne and I are not, we don't do everything the same. I mean, we don't have the same systems or the same exact daily plan or anything like that. But like it or not, if you want to be successful, that's a piece that has to develop if it's not already there. Yes?
I totally agree. And in the beginning, no, I didn't see myself as a leader. And that was not a good thing. The first year, like I said, I was working full time. I didn't realize the potential until, a few months in, and I wasn't leading my team. I mean, I think I was a good job person, but that's about it. And so I didn't see myself as a leader. I didn't want to be a leader. I mean, that's just never a position that I would have put myself in. So honestly, if somebody would have told me in the beginning, hey, you have to be a leader, it probably would have I would have been like, I'm done, which I'm so thankful, I didn't do that. But literally a year into Plexus, our team was in full momentum. I was in the top 10 contest. I was one of the top 10 contest earners for convention, won every single contest, won a suite, all sorts. And that was in May of 2014. And within 2 or 3 months, my business came to a screeching halt. And I think what happened is, number one, fear set in, because I had not only resigned myself from my job, but I had resigned Kevin from his job. So we were stepping out and doing a Christian co-op for our health insurance, which we do love, by the way, now, but that was scary for me. I had just bought my Diamond Lexus, and that was going to be $1,000 a month. So my whole thought process started going, what if, what if, what if? And that fear started setting in. And I'll never forget sitting at convention, Sonia Dudley was up on stage, and she made a comment that anybody could be up on that stage the next year. Well, y'all, my fear, one of my biggest fears is public speaking. And so I just remember thinking, no way. And actually, Beth Anderson, she's another Diamond, we looked at each other and we both went, no way, no how, not doing it. And y'all, Beth took that as a challenge for herself. And what I did is I let fear creep in. And by August that summer, my points started going backwards. My business started going backwards. And I had no idea what to do. August through December, little by little, it'd either go forward just a tiny bit or backwards. And it was usually going backwards. And by December of 2014, I actually lost Diamond by 9 points. And that, I couldn't even reach out for help. I was so just devastated. I didn't know what to do. I hadn't been leading my team, so how do I go to them now and ask them for help? And it wasn't that I was not trying to lead my team. I just didn't know to lead my team. I was trying to keep my head above water. Everything just happened so fast. And so it was one of those, it was a big wake-up call. And I had no idea how I had gotten to Diamond, so I didn't know how to help anybody else. I didn't know how to help myself get back, that type of thing. I mean, it was crazy. So I reached out to two people. I reached out to Sarah Marble because she is personal development queen. I reached out to her and asked her, I told her what had happened, and I asked her, I said, what do I do? And she said, okay, let me just tell you, you need to read this book, you need to read this book, you need to read this book, look at this YouTube video. And she just sent me a lot of personal development stuff. So I started doing that. Then I reached out to Kim Wilson. She's also she's your Sapphire upline. But she was my very first ambassador. And I told her, I said, Kim, I don't know what to do. And so we talked through a lot of things. And she said, you know what? I met a lady, her name was Leslie Zan, when I worked for another network marketing company. She goes, you know, I know she used to do personal coaching. Let me reach out to her. So we talked to Leslie, and she just totally, she got on board with me and Kim. We started paying for her to coach us. And in January, I got Diamond back. But it's funny because for the next probably 6 months, I did a lot of personal growth. So I was really nurturing myself. I was trying to, learn as much as possible. Leslie was coaching us, and I was just learning so much. But my points were still just hovering around Diamond. Like they go up 100, they go down 100, on and on. And last summer, once again, I lost Diamond. But this time, I lost it like by, I can't remember if it was 23 points or 15 points. I don't remember. I didn't let it devastate me. Instead, it hit me. I went, oh my gosh, I've learned all of this, but I haven't poured it into my team. So that's really when I started trying to pour into my team. Y'all, I know some of you are going, are you crazy? It took you that long? Yes, it took me that long. It's hard for me to learn sometimes. But I just thought personal development was just for me. I didn't realize how I needed to be pouring out into my team. Now, let me tell you, I did have contact with my team. I did have different things, but it wasn't what my team was needing to grow. Y'all, since then, our team has been on fire. And I'm not saying it's because of me. I'm just saying take your leadership position very seriously, because your team is going to follow you and how you do things. I remember in the beginning, I would always say, oh, so-and-so has a video for that. I'm going to let my team watch that video. Guys, put yourself in front of your team. Your team wants to see you. They want to hear from you. They want to know that you have the vision and the passion for them, that you are there for them. I just thought other people did it better. And I had to get over that. I had to say, you know what? People may think I look silly or I might sound silly, but I need to be the one in front of my team. So a lot of growth has happened. And now I was able to re-enter, and we're just in that momentum again. It's amazing. So personal development and seeing yourself as a leader, like those are my big things now, because you need to be spending at least 15 minutes a day on growing yourself. You will totally thank yourself for it. And then take that other time and pour into your team. Those are two things that I've truly learned. And see yourself as a leader from the moment you have one customer or one ambassador under you. You are a leader. So just know that.
I love absolutely everything that you said. I couldn't have, it couldn't have been more perfect. It's obviously what people need to hear. I completely agree with so much of what you said. And now we came at this from different angles, but we had a couple of things in common. One was I didn't want to be in front of people. I would have had the same fear. Now I don't have a fear of talking in front of people. I'm fine with it. I don't get nervous talking in front of people. What I don't like is I just don't like attention, and which is the weirdest thing. I don't like it. And like you, I saw everybody else as already the expert enough that I didn't need to make videos because they were all out there and I had learned from them. I didn't call or reach out to Sarah Marble because I didn't know her personally, but well, now she knows this, but she's who taught me a lot because I just watched her videos. I just did everything she said to do, and that taught me a lot of what I needed to know. I could see when you said that you stepped back and started to do that, working on yourself. I could see that happening. I knew that it was happening. It was very apparent, and I think that in a lot of ways, that's a lot of why I really wanted you to talk to my team, because the way I came at it was, I think to some degree you get to this point where your team is really big and you don't exactly know what you're supposed to be doing. I kind of felt like there was this big wave that was going to roll me over and I didn't know which way to go to stay where I could breathe. And that's not something to scare anybody. What it is an awareness of not putting yourself in a position where what I was doing was giving too much to too many people every single day. And I wasn't actually giving enough to myself or to my family. And that's not the right way to go about it either. There is something in between. And I think there is a way to, if you plug into the system and if you listen to people that have done it, you find out that there actually is a simple system. And it's where you're pouring into not just your level ones. It's not that we don't care about everybody else, but if you're successfully duplicating that down for the most part, and then you'll just catch the ones that don't have an active level one. And we do that. We're really good about that. But I think that was something that caused me that moment of having to stop and pull back. And that's happened recently because my team went from 700 people to now today almost 1,400 people in a matter of less than 4 months. And all of a sudden I put my hands up and I was like, Cheyenne, help, because I didn't know what to do next. But it's all worth it. It really is. It's just it's a learning curve. And I think lastly, what I love about what you said is that what I see happen is very often people have these insane expectations of the person who signed them up. We all came into the business the same way that you did. We wanted these great products. We ended up with a business. And we learn along the way, one foot in front of the other. We come in with different kinds of strengths. So I came in with my strengths being a lot about the alternative holistic health that Cheyenne and Kim were asking me stuff about, gut health and things like that, because it's just something I knew. It's not that everybody should, and it was because my own health journey led me to need to know that. So we were you kind of lean on who knows what and who has those strengths, and you just put one foot in front of the other, because I think that it's damaging to everybody if the expectations of someone are so high that not only are you damaging your own business because you're too busy being mad at what you didn't get from your upline, but you're damaging other people because you could just use your strengths to help other people along the way. And I feel like for the most part, my team really has done that, and it's been really awesome to watch. So I love that we, came to that leadership kind of position from different angles. I came in as somebody who was very connected and pouring a lot into people, and almost to the point that I was like, okay, I need to draw the line somewhere. We have to, I have to duplicate better. I wasn't duplicating to others. I was just trying to do it all. And I always say this, I'm that person who, when I'm cooking or making a meal in the kitchen, I don't know how to delegate. That's not a good place to be. So do you have any tips for those? Because there's people who on my team are coming up right behind me. We've got probably 4 emeralds coming along in the next several months, and a lot of rubies and senior rubies who I think are going to hit that same point. So what would you say to them?
I think there is a very good balance. I was more hands off, you were more hands on. I think there's a good balance. And I think, just truly setting those business hours and saying, from this time to this time, I'm going to work my business and I'm going to work it hard. I think you can get more done in less time when you set those business hours because you're focused. Those days when I come into my office, I can spend all day in my office, in my room, and in my house, and just sit in here and work all day long. And then get up to leave and think, I still have 15 more things to do. Whereas if I know, oh my goodness, I have a meeting at 11:30, I need to get this, and this done, I can come in my office, I can knock it out, and I can walk out and feel accomplished and have the rest of the day to myself. And, of course, go back and answer questions or whatever I need to. So when your leader or when you yourself makes those business hours, don't feel bad about it, and stick with them. Your family, guys, has to come first. And I'm not saying don't pour into your business. You do need to pour into your business, but your family always needs to come first. And I think Tarl and Alec would say the same thing. So make sure, because if you're just pouring every single ounce of all of you into your business, your family's they're not gonna be happy. They're gonna be upset with you. And then, guys, you're not gonna have anything left of you, right? And so it's so important to find that balance, whatever that looks like for you. So for me, I know for at least 2 hours a day, I need to be in my office. And I write, y'all, it's ridiculous. My calendar is completely full. I write down even the smallest things that I need to do for the day, because if I need to just check them off, and for me, that's what works. You may not be like that, but find what works for you. But guys, and like Angela was saying, something that she's working on is delegating. Something recently that I've done, and some of you have been involved in, is I've delegated. I've asked for our leaders to do new ambassador trainings. I've asked for them to do opportunity calls. So now our team has a new ambassador training every week and an opportunity call or Zoom training every single week. That took that pressure off of me. And y'all, it felt so good. And it's letting leaders be leaders on our team. So really find those people in your organization or in your downline that they don't have to do it just like you do, but that that you can depend on, and really try to delegate. Ask them, and I told Angela, I said, whenever I reached out to her, I said, hey, I don't want to put more on your plate, but if you want to do this, I would love to have you, do this with us. And so, just reaching out to your leaders and letting them be the leaders that that God designed them to be, I think is so important. There was such a period of time for me where I thought I had to do it all. And it's too much. And so you're going to be burned out. Your family's going to be resentful. So really take that time for you, take that time for your family. And then I think things are just easier with your business when you're not trying to, make sure your family's happy and make sure that you're getting what when you're getting what you need, when your family gets what they need, it's easy to go in and work for whatever amount of time you can work during. So that's just something I would definitely try.
And you know what? And that allows me to tie back into the last thing that I was going to talk about, which is I think that it's a matter of, well, first of all, somebody says this really well, and I'm going to botch it because I don't remember who says it, but it's something about it's okay to get overwhelmed, but don't live there. Yes. And I'm big on, I don't spin my wheels. I don't spend my life worrying. I'm just not a worrier. I don't have that gene in my body. What I do have is an ability to see what's wrong and to fix it. So I can get overwhelmed, and then I have to figure out how to fix it. That's just the way that I have to exist. So if that's where you are, no matter what rank that you're at, I think it's really important to recognize it, identify it, and figure out what's the next step to move forward. And then the way that I would come back to, I want to talk about the new people, the people that are brand new, because they're listening and going, well, I don't even have a team yet, so this doesn't apply to me. And some people that are, or not even new, but they're just still trying to get to where they have an active team. And hopefully they've heard me talk about this a lot of times, but I think that putting a plan into action and actually doing it, number one, is one of the biggest things that I see be just completely missed. I think that being in action, it doesn't have to be frantic. It doesn't have to be all day nonstop, but it has to be that there are action steps that you're consistently taking, and you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think that's probably the biggest thing for new people. If you want to get to where you have this team, be all in, and then create yourself a plan. And if you have to adapt it and change it, people were always wanting to look at my board and see like how I worked out my day. But you guys, I was running a daycare 50 hours a week. So my day looked different than anybody else's. And then it changed as I retired, you know, a little bit over a year later. Then it changed. Now my day looks different. It looks more like Cheyenne's does, where, you know, I can put those hours down, and it's important. But I think that actually creating a plan and doing it is one of the biggest things that gets missed. And the other thing is not plugging into your team. I think sometimes that piece is missing, is that they're not actually paying attention to what the leaders are saying to them. If they're saying, because there's a way to identify what's not going right in your business, that you really have to have your ears open and listening for it, because we don't all come into this with the same strengths and the same weaknesses and the same, what is it that I'm looking for? Maybe influence over the people in our circle. So a lot of us, like, you know, maybe have to work on building up that influence. And whatever it is, I think that what I found myself doing with that feeling that you had to do it all that you were talking about, is I started feeling like I had to figure out for everybody what it was that was missing. And that got to be a little overwhelming to me, because I'm not in everybody's head. But what I could keep saying is, there are team calls, there are trainings, there are books, and I promise you, if you plug into them, it may take you 3 months, but if you're doing it, you're going to find what's missing, and then go to your power partner or your upline or whoever you're working with and say, I've identified it. Here's what it is. Can you help me? Does that make sense? Did any of that make sense?
And I think that's so important, because if I'm just always coming to you, Angela, for all questions, or for you to figure out my day for me, or for you to figure out my plan, or what's wrong with me and my business, I'm only getting your answer. It's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on it. You know, I mean, it may work for a few days. I've got to figure out what works for me. And guys, really the only way you can do that is by personal development, and by plugging in, you know, and watching leaders, and watching, you know, the people that you want to be like, reading those books. Like I said earlier, just personal development, watching those YouTube videos. And you were talking a little bit about your day, Angela, and I just wanted to share, Erin Weber is on my team on a different leg, and she made an IPA scorecard, and I can send this to Angela, or I can, whatever you need me to do, or if you want it, you can message me, so Angela or whatever. But yeah, it just kind of gives you an outline of things that you can be doing during the day. So if you're wondering, what is an IPA, you know, income producing activities, what does that look like? That was something that was really hard for me. Everybody talked about income producing activities, and I didn't know what they were talking about. And I was doing them, but I didn't realize that those were income producing activities. You know, it's not just sitting on Facebook all day, but, you know, and you give yourself points. I actually did a challenge with I think it was my levels 1 through 3s one time, and did a challenge with this. But for me, this has helped me so much, because what I see is I'm really good at follow-up, but maybe I'm not as good at reaching out to new people. So this really helped me. I did it for a week, and I was able to look back and go, oh, okay, I did my daily affirmations. I did my personal development. I really stunk at follow-up this week. So next week, that's what I need to hit. And so for me, this just keeps me on track. And so I can definitely get that to y'all. And it's on my Cheyenne's Plexus team page. If you're on there, it's in the files. It's called IPA scorecard. So you can get that if you want. But I mean, I literally have, I keep just, they're all over here. So that has been something that has helped me a lot, because then it's not me going to Celeste, my upline, and saying what am I doing wrong. I can see it for myself. I can make my plan for myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
No, I appreciate that too. I think we have a lot of resources that are available to us that are at our fingertips, and it's a matter of grabbing them and seeing that it's there, and talking to your upline and saying, how could I use this? How can I put it to use?
Right.
I think that file may very well be in our Team Legacy page because you sent that to me a week or two ago.
Oh, okay, good.
You told me, so I think I may have already uploaded it to that team, but we'll see. If I haven't, I'll put it in there now. What else was I going to ask you? Gosh, it was something that you said that I forgot to write down, and I wanted to touch base on that. What was it? I was looking at the time going, it's 12:30. Do I have time to say this? Well, I really appreciate your input so much. I think for the new people or the people that are just now starting to build their business, hopefully this has been really helpful to you, and hopefully you're able to overcome any of the thoughts you have about, like, I can't do this, this isn't for me, I'm not a leader, I'm afraid of this. And like, I didn't want to talk in front of people, I didn't want to do Zoom calls, and I really had to get past that. And one of the funny little things that I tell people is, and if you started with me way back in the beginning, you know this, I said, well, I'm going to be terrible at a lot of these things. I mean, I knew exactly what it was going to take to have a great business. And I thought, well, it's going to take this kind of person and that kind of person. And I don't want to do any of that, but I'm going to go put all of my effort into finding those people. And if I find those people, they'll do those things. Well, what you learn in that process is, you learn how to be that person. If you're not your own rock star, I don't know what to tell you. You got to be the person. You've got to be that rock star. You've got to attract those people to you. I certainly didn't want this when I started, but I wouldn't have it any other way because it's developed me as a person in ways that nothing else possibly could have. There's just no other way other than becoming that and setting that example and doing those things yourself and developing the relationships. Because the other thing we see missing a lot of times with people is they go, I want to do this business and I'm really excited. I see it happening for people, and they miss that you have to really connect with the people that you bring into the business and really work with them too. You can't do it for them, but you have to pour into those relationships and help them, which is another topic. But I think just getting into action and actually reaching out to people and not hiding behind your texting. I know that a lot of you guys that are young are very much, messenger and texting. You've got to talk to people and get face to face. And we want to stay and create that momentum and keep educating people about the health side of it and why we're doing what we're doing. But also, I think a new piece for me is really presenting to people that this business is a really exciting, that's another, I think, product that we have to offer. We're helping people with financial freedom, and it's pretty phenomenal. That's something that took me a while to come around to presenting that right up front. So new people, there is just this whole world of possibility and opportunity at your fingertips. I don't want you to worry about saturation. If you could kind of give them an overview of, what it looks like I see people starting Plexus in your area and hitting Emerald, and I just crack up because I'm like, they started after people on my team. We could still stand on any street corner and talk Plexus all day long and maybe meet one person who's ever heard of it.
Well, it's funny because that's the same here. And people, you get it all the time. It's saturated. Well, okay, it may be saturated on your Facebook wall because it's a lot of your friends, but think of those people that you don't know outside, that you don't know, that didn't make sense, that don't know about Plexus. I mean, I have friends that are in areas that their area has never heard of Plexus, so yes, on your Facebook wall, it may look like things are saturated. Guys, it's not saturated. Last summer, Celeste did it was called Joel's at the Joel. It's a Joel hotel in Dallas. And there were probably 25, 30 of us there. I don't even remember. But I talked to 4 different people in one day at the hotel that had never even heard of Plexus. And here there are with 30 Joels at that hotel, and not one person that I spoke to, outside of Plexus had heard of Plexus. It's not saturated. It's just getting outside of your bubble sometimes, I mean, here in Rockwall, I live in a smaller town, and I think let's see, there's now 2 Joels in Rockwall. And so it's just, and you talk to people all the time. That's all I see on Facebook a lot of times is Plexus, but I talk to people all the time that have never heard of it. And I still have people, y'all, that message me. I'm almost 3 years in, and they message me and they say, okay, I think I'm ready now. And you're like, now, 3 years later, so sometimes you do get overwhelmed and you think, I've tapped out my market. Guys, okay, I was real big on telling everyone to make their list of 100 people, and it hit me last year, I guess it was last summer, last fall. I had never actually made a list. I was telling people to, and that's another thing about a good leader. Don't ever tell people to do things that you're not willing to do. Y'all, I sat down and I started scrolling through my Facebook list. I made a list of 200 people. And now I have some mark-throughs and different things because they've joined my team or they told me no or whatever, and that's okay. Well, as soon as I re-entered the month before last, I sat down and I started making, I'm trying to show you my list again, another list of people that I had never talked to that weren't on my list of 200. So, guys, you're always adding people. That should be something that you're always working on too, is stepping outside of your comfort zone just to meet people, not to shove Plexus in their face, but just building those relationships with people. Plexus, you can introduce Plexus to them at a later date. It's not like, hi, my name is Cheyenne. I sell Plexus. Do you want some? But it's building those relationships with people outside of Plexus and outside of, maybe your core friend group. And it's funny because I think, well, I don't have a whole lot going on. I don't have small children anymore. My kids don't do play groups. I'm not in mocks. But there are other things. There's church, there's, activities, there's volunteer activities that I can do. There's even through Kevin's friends, people that I meet, you just don't know. You never know. So I guarantee you the market is never completely tapped out. All of your family may have tried it, your very best friends, but look outside of that and really work on growing those relationships. And then you can work on growing your business through that as well.
And you guys, I want you to hear what Cheyenne said. She made those lists after she was already more than a year into being a diamond at that point. And so this is 2.5 years for me. And we have people that come out of the woodworks who we thought were not interested, people that I was intimidated to even bring it up because I thought, oh my gosh, if they haven't reached out to me, they must clearly think that Plexus is crazy. And I'm afraid to reach out to them because of whoever they are in the community. And to never feel like that, because I've had many times people like that reach out. And what was I going to say on making your list? Oh, some people will say to you, I don't know enough people. I don't really know anybody. And I always have to throw this out. Now, I did know a lot of people, but I want to talk to you just about, we don't want to keep your business on Facebook. You really do need to get face-to-face with people, especially anyway, as it is, with the compliance issues. Just let's really focus on, face-to-face. I've said that for a long time now. I say it even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But I started out, I was about to close down my Facebook account, literally 4 weeks before I heard about Plexus for the first time. And I had sent out a message saying, you guys, I'm just done. I'm over it. I was in a bad place. I was in a lot of pain. Wasn't feeling too happy about things, and I just didn't want to see all these happy people. And I didn't even know of any happy Plexus people yet because that had not come across my newsfeed. I had 300 or less friends on my Facebook at that point, and I make a marked effort not to just add everybody, because I think once you hit like Ruby and above in a new area, I think everyone tries to friend you, and I make an effort to really just accept friend requests from my own team, because you do have a max on Facebook. But that said, I have grown through the contacts that I've made to, I think, like 1,300 friends at this point. But a lot of that is people that I go out and meet and add to my Facebook. So if you want to know how to do that, there's people like Emily Roberts and Lori Harrison who really are great about teaching about how to get those contacts and get them on your Facebook, and then develop the relationships like Cheyenne said, because we do not just pounce on people. We're not saying to not, I think, would you agree that there's not a definitive answer to this question? I always get tripped up by this one, but I think it's important to say, because I do have a lot of new people sitting on this call right this minute. Would you agree that you want to create momentum right off the bat? You want to kind of aim for silver, aim for gold right off the bat, really focus on, for you to get to gold and beyond, you have to focus on how to get the people you signed up to silver.
Right.
That's just a fact. And in order for you to get that process going, you do have to reach out to some people. And I say to them, call your mom, call your best friend, call your whoever it is that you think. Now, sometimes moms and sisters are not the right answer because they're the ones who are going to say, what are you doing? And why are you doing that? You should just, sometimes that's not the right answer. You'll know if that's who it is. But the people that you think will jump on board and do it with you, and then teach your people that you brought on board to do the same thing. So there is that. But
Yeah.
would you say that beyond that, it's a lot about then developing the relationships?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. There definitely is going to be some reaching out. I think that's super important to reach out. And like you were saying, face-to-face, phone calls. And guys, if you're scared to death of that, at least voice message them. Don't just text them. Voice message them so they hear your voice, they hear your enthusiasm, they hear your excitement, they hear your passion about Plexus, and they don't think it's just a bulk email that you're sending out to everyone. So yes, definitely do that, but build those relationships. This just happened to me this week. I had a girl that our girls used to cheer together when our girls were real little, and I haven't talked to her probably in 7 years. She just out of the blue called me and wanted to tell me all about her product. Y'all, that was the biggest turnoff to me, because it wasn't like, how are you doing? She has shown zero interest in anything that I'm doing on Facebook. Even in general life, not even just Plexus. And I thought, you called just to make a sale. And so building those relationships are so important. I think there are some people you can reach out to and say, hey, you are on my dream team list. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and tell them why. But just reaching out and saying, do you want to buy my product? It's not a good way to do it. But building those relationships and working into that, I think, is. And I had those friends from right off the bat that I could say, hey, I think you would love Plexus. You do have those friends that you've had those years of relationships with, that they know when you say something and you're standing behind it, they're going to trust you. But I'm talking about somebody you haven't talked to in 10 years, just to call them out of the blue and say, hey, do you want to buy my product? It's going to be more than likely it's going to be a turnoff. Saying, but just telling them, hey, seeing how they're doing, and starting that conversation first, and then later on saying, you've really been on my mind. I see these qualities in you. I think you'd be great at this business. Or I saw that you had this issue, and I think our products would be perfect. She called and she said, I'm trying to win a trip to Maui, is what she told me. I mean, and so I wanted to see if you wanted these products. And I just thought, oh gosh, I hope I never sound like that. Like, hey, I'd really like to have a bigger check this month. Could you buy my products? I mean, I was like, there was no relationship there to fall back on. So yes, I totally agree 100%. Building relationships is key to this business.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We did go a little bit over, and I hate if I kept you from something, but everything you said is so valuable. And like you said, it's so important to hear it from different voices. And I think that that's what I started to learn as we got into doing these Zoom calls and doing things. I thought, it's really important for people to hear not only from my upline and your voice and your experience, but the other people on my team. So that's it's really great to hear from your perspective. How this business has worked for you. So thank you, and just thank you for everything you do. And I'm really excited to see you this time in Hawaii, because I'm coming with you this time.
And I know there's going to be other ones there with us too from your team, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Look at Elizabeth.
Yeah. She's like, I'm coming. All right. Thank you so incredibly much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank y'all so much for giving me your time this morning. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.
Bye, Cheyenne.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Okay, those of you who are still on, I'm going to talk for just a second. Hopefully that was really helpful because we touched on a bunch of things. I wanted to kind of grab Cheyenne's experience from where she stands and have her talk on a bunch of things, just about how not to get stuck and how to be self-reliant and create what works for you and really keep that balance. I think one of the things that I want you guys to keep in mind for May is that we have so many incentives out there for you. I mean, everywhere you turn, you've got incentives from somebody in your upline. And I'm joking around saying, I hope I don't actually go broke with these. I've made it pretty easy for you to earn items. You can do a raffle ticket. You can earn a ticket to come out with me and whoever is a jewel at that point. And I think I'm going to have probably 3 or 4 on my team by the time this really wraps up. I'm going to run something very similar in June. So if you want to kind of stack your stuff together, you can spend it at the end of this month, or you can roll it into something I'm doing in June. But anyway, you are going to be able to get money or items for doing the right activities that are going to build your business. So what I want you to know is that absolutely, positively, creating momentum is one of the biggest things that you can do. So personal development, creating momentum, and kind of fostering relationships with the people that you bring into the business and helping them to turn around and do the same thing. You know, find their 3 people and just keep that going. It's more important than you realize. And so a lot of times, just what I want you to know as a wrap up is that sometimes what happens is you guys have this goal, and the goal seems like it is not reachable because it's so big. And what I always say to you is that whenever you look at a rank and how many points and how many people that's going to require for you to get, or if it's a dollar amount that you're trying to aim at, whichever way you've set up your goals, every time that you say that's too big, that's too many people, let me make my goals smaller, or let me, I think, even if it's not making the goals smaller, but you slow down the pace at which you're expecting to arrive at them, what you're actually doing is you are limiting other people who join you and saying, I don't think you can do this. Because here's the reality. If you can get 3 people, so can everyone else. And if you keep that going, you know, the possibilities are limitless, and the opportunity is absolutely as available to you as it was to me. It was just that I understood that, and I understood those numbers to begin with. And the very last thing I want you to know, as you're creating this momentum and bringing people in, I know from experience that one of the things you guys are going to feel like at a certain point is, it's going to sound something like this. Excuse me. I have 15 people on my team, and only 3 of them are doing anything, right? I hear that all the time. Or I've got 30 people and only 6 people are doing anything. Whatever that number is for you, and you feel down about it and you feel defeated about it because you worked so hard to get this many people and only this many are doing anything. And what you usually mean by that is that a handful are using the products, a handful have dropped off the radar, and a couple are doing absolutely anything with the business, but they're probably not going at it as hard as you are. I want you to know here and now the very same thing happened to me, and it happens to all of us. That is completely common and typical. What you're trying to do is, from those people, you're continuing to move, continue to inspire, continue to work with whoever's there. Don't be frustrated with anybody, because if you become frustrated, you lose somebody who can come back and be a rock star. I've got probably 2 of them on this call right now who left me at some point a year or 2 ago and came back and became a rock star. I never was frustrated at what they were or weren't doing with the business. I just continued to foster that relationship because I knew what was possible for them if they wanted to come back. But I want you to know something about your numbers. If you take how many people you've ever signed up, wholesale or otherwise, it's very important that you guys understand that signing people up wholesale is going to be the way for you to achieve what you're trying to achieve. You can have a ton of PV and not achieve what it is that you're looking for in terms of residual income. You've got to understand that difference, okay? There are people that are just customers, and a lot of people should be wholesale buyers, and then some of them will be business builders. That just is the way it is. But anyway, take your numbers of anyone that you've signed up as an ambassador and divide that number by 0.20. And I promise you that whatever you say about how many people you have and how many people are doing anything is going to look a lot like that number you get when you hit the equal sign. That's the same for everybody. It's kind of an industry standard. So don't feel frustrated. Don't feel like it's not going to happen for you, and don't defeat yourself. Every one of you can do this, okay? All right, so have an awesome day. Thank you for hopping on here in the middle of the day. I will be uploading this recording tomorrow, because Wednesday is actually our team call day, so I'm going to still upload that so I don't confuse people. And I hope that you guys are having an amazing May, and if you need anything, reach out. Have a good day. Bye.